That immortal monster, that... You piece of trash!
Immortal hunters await.
I'm nothing there. All you have to do is become mine. That's the end, then.
We start our adventure at a school of magic. For some reason, Negi, a tiny red-headed man with a strange, high-pitched voice, appears to be a very popular professor. Don't know why dude sounds as weird as he looks. But for some insane reason, the girls and fellow teachers seem to love it. Dude sneezes, and the power of his sneeze strips them. Okay, we are off to an interesting start. We then spot a blonde beauty spying on them. Okay, Miss Voyeur. She is Evangeline A.K. McDowell. We realize it's just a flashback cause she's a 700-year-old vampire. As she narrates, we hear that she views her immortality as a curse. Okay, interview with a vampire. We fast forward 80 years into the future. Evangeline now goes by Yukiheim. Blonde woman, English accent with a Japanese name. Makes sense. Also, she's aged, which is weird because she's immortal. She's now a college professor. As she walks to work, a group of students, Toda and his friends, try to ambush Yukiheim. They plan on assaulting her, but as they jump out from the tree, an invisible force field stops them in their tracks. She laughs at their audacity and punches them into a puddle, KO. Back in the classroom, she punishes them again with torturous methods while reminding them that the only way to the capital is through her. Cheeky Toda asks her just what kind of barrier she used to block them, but she doesn't respond. The boys suspect magic, but Yukihime still doesn't answer. Background info: Yukiheim is Toda Kono's foster mom and disciplines him as such. Spicy lady. After school, Toda and his crew talk about their teacher's magical abilities. Apparently, people started openly using magic 10 years ago. There's even an app that allows normies to use magic, but it's outrageously expensive. Toda's life's goal is to defeat Yukiheim so that he can go to the capital and climb an enormous tower called the Orbital Elevator. The boys chat some more, then Toda rushes off to visit his parents' graves. Apparently, they gained their angel wings in a car crash 2 years ago. Yukiheim has been raising him ever since. At the graveyard, we see 3 graves, his parents and a third with the name Negi Springfield. There's some emo background info, and we see phases of the past 2 years. Then as Toda is about to leave, an apparition of the freaky ginger professor appears and tells him he's waiting for him on the tower. Then it disappears. Call Ghostbusters, bro. At dinner that evening, Toda begs Yukiheim to teach him magic, but she still refuses. Instead, she tells him to study harder. The next morning, Toda and his crew attempt another assault upon Yukiheim. Of course they fail. She reminds them that they'll never beat her. The boys are depressed and hopeless until one of their professors, Mr. Tachibana, pops up. Dude is sus but offers to help them. He buys them a magic app and teaches them how to defeat Yukiheim. Unfortunately, Toda is a boomer when it comes to technology, so it won't work. Mr. Tachibana apologizes, saying, "Sorry, lil bro, but you don't have the magic touch." He cheers him up by saying he has another trick up his sleeve. A bracelet that he's to give Yukiheim as a gift. Men using jewelry to scam women, an old trick. Back home, Toda is unsure how to give the bracelet. When she walks through the door, he cringingly says it's for her. It gets awkward and he runs away embarrassed, like the titty baby he is. Yukiheim accepts his gift and wears it. She goes shopping, and as she leaves the store, Toda's crew suddenly appear behind her using teleportation magic. They ambush her and bind her using vines. Happy to finally defeat her, Yukiheim is impressed and maybe even proud. That's when Mr. Tachibana pops up again, and we see what his real intentions are. He beats the students, knocking them out, and then impales Yukiheim using several conjured spears. That's gotta hurt. She tries to activate her magic, but the bracelet blocks it. Tachibana admits to being a bounty hunter who wants to delete her and claim the bounty on her head. Yukiheim tries to struggle, but the vines and spears make it impossible. Tachibana raises his sword and walks towards her. In the nick of time, Toda arrives to block him. He shouts at Tachibana, asking what the heck is good, but Tachibana attacks him with super speed and hacks his left arm off. Red foam sprays. Jesus is Lord. Tachibana is about to behead Toda, when Yukiheim somehow blocks him even though she is still bound. Her love for Toda and her need to protect him broke the bracelet's binding spell. Tachibana loses his mind and starts hacking her into pieces. It's a red foam party, y'all. Toda, being a titty baby, screams out in anguish, but Tachibana, ever the villain, just runs his sword right through him. That's a dramatic twist if I've ever seen one. Tachibana walks over to the rest of the students to ninja fruit them too. Toda is about to give up when Yukiheim's severed head calls out to him. Surprise! She quickly tells him the reason he's not game over is because he is special. Yeah, it's really special. Apparently, she made him an immortal monster when she rescued him 2 years ago. She says it's now or never for him to activate the power inside him. But the only way to do this is to drink her red foam that's splattered all over the place. Nice. Toda chooses and starts to lick the spattered red foam like it's cake batter on a mixing spoon. It empowers him to move again, and with one arm he confronts Tachibana just before he fruit ninjas his homies. They charge each other and the battle is on. Tachibana is stronger though, and knocks Toda down. But Tachibana and I are rudely surprised when Toda's hacked-off arm decides to join the party and reattach. Somehow this powers him up, and he power punches Tachibana into the next galaxy, well, actually into somebody's van, chest concave. The stress of the battle and everything he has experienced makes him go night-night. Just before heading to Dreamland, he sees a young girl walk over saying thanks. He comes to lying on Yukiheim's lap. The smell resuscitates him. She looks down at him lovingly, then reveals her true identity. Her coin purse is 700 years old. She tells him his parents' last wish was for her to save him, and even though she regrets it now, she gave him her immortality curse. Toda is overjoyed that now he won't ever lose the game of life. It's no curse to him. Little bro wants to spend the rest of forever with Yukiheim. Simping ain't easy. Time passes and Yukiheim and Toda leave for the capital. With a bounty on her head, it's no longer safe. Toda greets his crew and says they'll always be homies and to come to the tower to chill sometime. Yukiheim asks him about his tower obsession, but little homie lies to her face and quotes Biggie saying it was all a dream he read about in Word Up magazine. As they walk, Toda remarks about the abandoned landscape. Apparently, this is a worldwide phenomenon. So much so that the capital is now called New Tokyo. Toda also asks why they are walking so freaking far as the capital is miles away. Yukiheim reminds him that they are being hunted, doofus, and it may not be wise to play red foam fruit ninja all over the place. But happy-go-lucky Toda is just excited to fulfill his tower obsession and meet new homies. They rest and Toda decides to skinny dip in a nearby lake. As he floats with the current, he bumps head first into something soft and squishy. He gives it an extra squeeze to figure out what the heck he is grabbing on, and it's a tushy. His victim is angered and power swipes him out of the water. Surprised, Toda is excited and shouts, "You're a woman." They punch him into next Tuesday and deny being female. Okay, Browski. Toda apologizes for assuming their gender and they become acquainted. Browski introduces themselves as Kuramaru Tokisaka. He admits that Toda has impressed him as no one their age had ever dodged his attacks before. Kuramaru explains that they come from the tower and are heading to the capital. This leaves Toda super stoked as this must mean Kuramaru is a richy rich. Chill, gold digger. Kuramaru sadly says he has been banished by his family. He cannot return until he finds a 700-year-old grandma named Evangeline and mollywops her. That sounds familiar. As Kuramaru talks, he realizes that Toda has no reflection. Oopsie. Stupidly, Toda calls Yukiheim over. Kuramaru immediately realizes that she is his target. He pounces and charges at her with his sword, which she blocks. Yukiheim recognizes Kuramaru as one of her long-lost foes, the Shinmai Ryu. Toda is Confucius, so Kuramaru explains that his clan, the Fushigari, hunt immortals. He informs Toda that he knows he's a baby vamp too. Toda immediately gets sad as he was hoping they could be homies. Kuramaru powers up and attempts to attack Yukiheim with a secret technique, but she foams him and takes him out with a hand through the chest. Toda is terrified that Yukiheim just committed a code 187 and starts to freak out. Yukiheim tells him to calm his titties and take a closer look. Toda checks the enthusiastic immortal hunter and is shocked that his wound is already healing. Surprise, Kuramaru is also immortal. Then Toda does something deviant which immediately wakes Kuramaru. Kuramaru declares he must slay Evangeline. Only then will the banishment be lifted. So clever Yukiheim challenges Kuramaru that she will battle him if he can defeat Toda. Challenge accepted, with no consent from Toda. The unwilling battle begins with Kuramaru conjuring Toda a sword to battle with. Toda has a single condition to start. The loser must grant the winner whatever they want. That sounds fishy, but as the fight proceeds, it's obvious that they are an equal match. Until Kuramaru beheads Toda, thinking the fight is his, till slick Toda grabs his falling head and squishes it back onto his neck. What the hell? Then he power punches Kuramaru through the ground. After winning the battle, Toda is frightened. He may have excommunicated Kuramaru's soul. But Kuramaru stands up and accepts defeat. Toda makes his demand known. They need to be besties. Bromance initiated. Blood oath taken. To seal the deal, they head to the public nude baths. Deviant behavior suspected. Kuramaru shares some of his past. Apparently his immortality is the reason for his banishment. Toda invites him to join his crew, but Kuramaru is super emo. To cheer him up, Toda suggests they climb up a cliff and spy on the women's bath. Deviant behavior confirmed. Toda wants to get a peek of Yukiheim's rocking bod. Apparently this is what all men do when hanging out. Perversion. Kuramaru denies his request because it's pervy and he does not want to get on the bad side of one of the deadliest vampires alive. But this excites Toda even more. So he speeds up the cliff alone, splashes into the bath and spots a very young girl by herself. Toda knows he's seen her before and she reveals herself to be Yukiheim. Apparently Yukiheim uses an aging spell to age herself into the woman he knows. With her rocking bod back, she teases Toda, but he is totally put off after seeing her lolly body. He calls her a fat-chested baby, which angers Yukiheim immensely, so she attacks Toda with several forms of ancient magic. Her ice spear attack caused him to fall off the cliff. Speedily, Kuramaru rushed to save the falling Toda. After a quick save, Kuramaru realizes that was pointless as Toda is of course immortal. After another deviant semi-non-consensual escapade, the three continue their journey to the capital together. Toda comes up with a brilliant idea of finding other immortals and ganging up for the greater good. Yukiheim starts giggling and says someone she knew back in the day said the same thing. But before she can finish her sentence, several cars pull up.
Yakuza stile.
The passengers step out and kneel before Yukiheim. A spicy woman named Karen tries to jump Toda for no good reason. Yukiheim warns her that he's one of them. Yuki explains to Toda that she already made an immortal organization known as U.Q Holder. Weird name, but okay. They board a yacht that takes them to the capital. On board, Karen, being a typical Karen, wonders why Yukiheim gave her red foam to Toda's weird imbecile behind. Yukiheim warns Karen that Toda is just as strong as she is, so watch your mouth, girly. Karen crushes the cup she's holding at this surprise revelation. They arrive at the Palace of the Immortals, 10 clicks off New Tokyo's shore. It's a hot springs resort by day and a secret headquarters at night. The UQ holders line up and are overjoyed by Yukiheim's return. While watching this, Toda and Kuramaru are approached by UQ holder number 6, Jengoro Makabe, and number 10, Ikuameya. They share the knowledge that not all immortals are vampires. Some are magical or beast people, some use magical items, and a few have uploaded their consciousness like Black Mirror. Wild organization. Makabe says before the boys can join them, they have to undergo a test. This test will be a duel. If they can get hit by any UQ holders, they are made immediate members. They boys can fight dirty or fair. Just then, entitled Karen pops up and invites herself to fight Toda, while Makabe will fight Kuramaru. Toda springs into action, but Karen pops him in the temple with her weird-looking golf club thingy. Next up, Kuramaru tries to fight Makabe, but he avoids his slashes so easily, it's kinda embarrassing. Makabe doesn't use magic, just intuition and battle experience, exhausting Kuramaru in no time. After their failed attempts, the pair sit and do a play-by-play. During this, a maid carrying a heavy load trips on a stone and falls in front of them. They rush to help her and offer to throw the trash away for her. They chat with the maid and share that they want to join the UQ holders. Introductions are exchanged, and we learn the girl's name is Shinobu Yuki. Back to Yukiheim. She's in her office contemplating how her past and present are intertwined. Toda's grandpa once had to face a similar test. Now it's Toda's turn. Meanwhile, Toda and Kuramaru continue to help Shinobu. They head to a storeroom carrying heavy boxes. A voice calls out to them and leads them to some underground basement area. As they try to figure out their location, a drunk guy is chilling and introduces himself as UQ holder number 2, Jinbei Shishido. Our crew is flabbergasted, thinking drunk Jinbei must be super powerful to be the number 2. Jinbei points at a sword stuck in a cement block. He tells Toda to pull the sword out. Apparently, the sword was forged by some overpowered dark mage with an Italian name. Many powerful men have tried and failed to pull out the sword. On Toda's first attempt, he fails, but then a voice in his head tells him just what to do. An open sesame, the sword is in his hand. Stunned, Jinbei's like, "How the heck you do that, browski?" Toda is quick to share that he hears voices. "I would have kept that a secret, but I guess that's just me." Turns out the sword has a name, Kurobo, and it's gotten bored and lonely from being locked in the basement. After pulling out, Jinbei informs Toda that the sword has several powerful functions that he needs to learn, like a gravity option that can make it extremely heavy or light as a feather. If Toda can master it, it is a powerful ally to have. Toda and Kuramaru will remain in the basement to train with the sword and improve their battle technique. Days pass and the boys have improved immensely. On the last day of the test, the boys re-challenge their opponents. Kuramaru challenges Makabe first and Toda takes on Karen. Makabe tells Kuramaru that he sees improvements, but he doesn't fight dirty enough to win. Makabe starts slapping Kuramaru all over the place. Suddenly, Kuramaru is inspired by what Toda thought. He gets a flash of inspiration and allows Makabe to slash off his arm. Makabe thinks it's all over, but that's when he is pierced from behind by Kuramaru's severed arm. Checkmate. Makabe falls over, and above his body, a display screen appears showing that he has lost a life. From 255 to 254. Makabe rises, congratulates Kuramaru, and comments that he hasn't lost a life in ages. Kuramaru is now a UQ holder. Back to Toda's battle with Karen, and things are heating up. Shinobu watches from a distance playing as a cheerleader. Behind her, an enormous ugly beast is sneaking up, getting ready to chow down. Toda is fighting like a champ, and with some quick moves he knocks Karen to the ground and holds his sword to her neck. Before he can land the winning blow, we hear Shinobu screech in the distance. He immediately runs toward Shinobu. She is surrounded by terrible monsters whose saliva is made of acid. As Toda is about to attack from above, Karen pops up and offers some help. She distracts the monsters, enabling Toda to save Shinobu. They head to the roof. Now Karen is surrounded by drooling red-eyed freaks who look like they want to put her on a white couch. Makabe and Kuramaru rush over, just as Toda turns the dial on his sword to 500,000 and jumps down into the group of monsters, destroying them all. The blast of his sword leaves a huge red foam splatter and an enormous crater in the ground. As the sun sets, Karen admits that Toda bested her and can join the UQ holders. Yukihime still questions how the monsters emerged from under the resort. She figures that the two who were training in the basement may have something to do with it, so she sends them both back to excommunicate the rest of the monsters. She also sends Jinbei to join them as punishment for getting into her liquor cabinet. Yukihime summons the new UQ holders to her office. They're going on a mission with Karen as their supervisor. This is our crew's first mission, and they are stoked. Toda is most excited, thinking he'll be driving in a Yakuza-style vehicle, but no such luck. Our crew and Karen are in running mode. Karen fills us in as she runs. The wealthy are eliminating the poors. These classist fascists don't believe poors should exist. Luckily, UQ holders won't allow it. They arrive at a hill above the church base. Toda jumps down and knocks out all the surrounding men, not realizing they are part of his team. Smarty. Our crew stays with the poors for several days, and Toda is put in charge of the cooking and cleaning. He's an excellent chef, and even my mouth is watering. Everyone compliments him, including the guys he knocked out, and even Karen. Poor Toda questions if he's their savior or their chef. After lunch, Karen informs Toda about a secret technique called Fash Step and says he should practice it. He wastes no time and immediately starts training. While practicing, some random dude pops up and power punches Toda like he owes him money. Ouch. He immediately starts babying Toda and insulting his attempts. He points out the dust clouds as examples of Toda's failure. Mr. Random then gives Toda a YouTube tutorial on what it's supposed to look like. Dude is a pro and makes no sound and leaves no dust. Super impressive. He explains that this technique will definitely improve Toda's fighting and arm wrestling skills. At first, Toda thinks it's some vague nonsense, but after a swift kick and a few more demonstrations of grabbing the earth, as Mr. Random calls it, Toda is convinced. Finally, the martial artist introduces himself. His name is Kaido. Kaido sees that Toda is talented and takes him under his wing. There are 2 maneuvers needed to be a fast step pro. Once Toda has mastered the first, the second will come easy. Kaido even offers to be his sensei if Toda succeeds. We see Toda's initial training, and it seems he has to do everything by foot. And I mean everything. Days pass and Kaido continues to train Toda. Later we spot Kaido walking to meet some other bros. An old blind dude named Nagumo and a pervy dude named Xingzi Chao. Nagumo senses Kaido's happiness and asks him what's good. Kaido tells him all about training Toda, but Nagumo immediately warns him to not get attached to their impending victims. They are the baddies sent to eliminate the pores. United Nations, is that you? Kaido says not to worry and immediately transforms into a giant werewolf. The trio are immortal hunters, and they head down to the slum to eradicate all. We head back to the slum and see 2 UQ holders get assassinated in a red foam spraying kind of way. Their attackers look like goblin midgets, not a pretty sight. While her men are being executed, Karen is unaware and taking a shower. Then a portal opens beneath her, and that perv dude, Xingzi Chao, throws several bullets, but she blocks them intuitively. She manages to disarm him and shoots back. Unfortunately, Chao doesn't seem too bothered. He attacks her, and they fight like cats and dogs. Chao is vicious and psycho, but Karen gives as good as she gets. Just when she has him pinned, he uses his portal technique and pulls another weapon out. He shoves it quickly in her mouth and fresh off several rounds. Diabolical. Chao has figured out that even though she's immortal, her pain receptors work just fine. The sadist enjoys hurting her. Arrogantly, Chao gives us a bit of a backstory. He is part of a private military called Powerful Hand. Their job is to delay the immortals while the slum gets burned to ashes. Chao keeps blabbing while he slowly tortures Karen. Dude has a black hand technique that reminds me of the Plunderer's all thing, which he uses to pin her. Then he pulls out an electric knife to stab and electrify her simultaneously. Jesus Christ. The gremlins show up and Chao reveals that he is a shadow using mage. Chao is obsessed with Karen and knows all about her history. He sadistically continues torturing while whispering sweet nothings to her until she power kicks him in the teeth. Thank God. He was getting on my nerves. Karen floats above him, shining bright like a diamond. She is powered by the Almighty. Chao is flabbergasted, as vampires should not have God's power. But Karen is quick to show him that she is divinely blessed, not cursed as humans and perverse freaks like him want to believe. She then gives him a holy beatdown, and it's a thing of beauty. Back to Toda, who's helping a slum kid collect trash. Together they see that the slums are on fire. The goblin midgets are Molotov cocktails every shack they see. Toda wants to rush back and help, but the goblin midgets have found them and are about to attack them too when Kuramaru pops up and slashes those little gremlins, sending them flying. He gives Toda a quick update, and as they start to make a plan, more of those ugly little gremlins show up. Kuramaru says they are mind-controlled puppets. Then the White Wolf and Nagumo arrive. Toda tells the slum boy to run for his life while they battle these intruders. The White Wolf immediately figures that Toda is a vamp and attacks him with a powerful crucifixion spell that takes him out the game. Kuramaru is left alone to fight. Kuramaru is lip-syncing for his life. The wolf is a pro martial artist, and the blind swordsman is gifted beyond Kuramaru's abilities. But Kuramaru holds his own. Just then the wolf, using a flash step, pops up beside them and pounds Kuramaru into the ground. Kuramaru upper half goes flying in one direction and the bottom half in another. He sees that the crucifixion seal has almost excommunicated Toda, who lies unconscious nearby. To make it extra spicy, the wolf throws iron pillars through Kuramaru's lungs and is about to add ice when the little slum boy, Rookie, jumps in and blocks the attempted attack. Kuramaru screams at Rookie to run for his life. But the little boy is brave. The wolf grabs Rookie and compliments his bravery, but says he'll still have to eliminate him. The blind swordsman explains. They've been hired by the wealthy living at the top of the tower, who still claim the land as their own. So the poors have got to go. That's capitalism. The wolf is about to slap Rookie into his next life when Kuramaru somehow pulls the pillars out his back and fips the remaining half of his body over to Rookie. The dust clears with Rookie and Kuramaru's arms, but someone else is blocking the wolf. It's Toda. Everyone's flabber are gassed, especially when they spot his full body. His arms are glowing black and red.
WTF?
Nagumo asks Toda just what the heck he is, but the wolf doesn't care to know and charges him. Toda Pimp slaps the heck out of Wolf like it's nothing. Nagumo is worried, but Wolf is overjoyed. Finally, a worthy opponent. Toda teases Kuramaru about his missing bottom, but also warns him to get them out of there. Then Karen pops up and says not to worry, she'll handle Billy Blind Man while Toda makes a new fur coat. Toda tells Wolf that he knows he is Kaido as his fast step ability is unmatched. So Wolf returns to his human form. Kaido is an obsessed freak and can't wait to fight. They charge forward and Toda is better than Kaido expected. They are fast-stepping and fast-punching each other to shreds. They pause and Kaido begs Toda to be his apprentice. Nah, no thanks bro. Finally Kaido employs his secret technique. He brushes Toda and literally pulls little bro's heart out of his body. He then crushes it, cold-blooded. Usually this is more than enough to eliminate any immortal. But then a dark purple aura emanates from Toda's body. It crushes Kaido's hand and heals Toda expeditiously. Nagumo recognizes the power and calls it the Magia Arabia. Sounds like a coffee brand. Apparently Magia Arabia dark magic holds the ultimate secrets of immortality. It is an extraordinary power that can consume your soul. Only 2 people in existence have this ability. Evangeline is one and the second is the greatest mage in the world. Nagumo fought them back in 2065, and that's when he learnt this side is nothing to play with. Toda Choke slams Kaido like a ragdoll while under the influence of this power. Nagumo wants to interfere saying that negative emotions are increasing Toda's crazy power, but Karen says hold your blind horses. Toda is the UQ holder's responsibility, and they will stop him, not some blind grandpa. Toda is about to end Kaido, but he forces himself to take back control over his own body. Kaido can't believe how strong Toda is and begs him to end him. But Toda tells him to shut his suicidal mouth. Toda and Kaido are both weakened, but agree to settle their battle with arm wrestling. Kaido teaches Toda his secret technique, and they wrestle strength against strength. They have an emo chat about feelings, poverty, and abuse of wealth and power. Then Toda smashes Kaido through the ground, winning. Karen realizes she's been underestimating Toda. Nagumo jumps down and is about to take Kaido with him, saying they've earned their pay. The slum is burned down. That's when a voice above them chants an ice spell. It's Yukiheim who saves the slum. Surprisingly, Nagumo and Yukiheim are acquainted. Just when we think the battle is back on, Nagumo unsheathes his sword, slices open a portal and grabs Kaido and escapes. A little later, Toda asks Yukihime what the heck is really good with him and his Arabian coffee powers. Yukihime nonchalantly replies that he's her red foam baby, and that's what makes him extra special. While they rejoice in their victory, through a drone a stranger watches them. Back at the resort, Kuramaru and the sword Kurobo are having a chat about the Magia Arabia. Then Kurobo states he knows that Kuramaru is in love with Toda. Stunned, Kuramaru denies and stabs Kurobo into the earth before running away. We see Shinobu and Toda surfing the sea in some kind of homemade jet ski. Shinobu wants to enter the solar race. One day, Toda is impressed by her mechanical skills and praises her while Kuramaru watches them from a distance like a jealous perv. Later, Kuramaru takes a shower and contemplates their feelings. Karen opens the door without knocking and gets a glimpse of Kuramaru's naked body. We discover he is a she. But Kuramaru starts to explain that as a demi-human, her clan has a rare trait. They are genderless or non-binary, and only decide at 16 during a special ceremony. Now that she knows their secret, Karen does something crazy. She attacks, demanding Kuramaru choose a female so that she can spend her life with Toda and he can stay far away from Yukiheim. Karen, you have issues. Karen keeps attacking, stating she knows that Kuramaru loves Toda. She adds that Kuramaru will make a pretty girl. That's when Iku intervenes. He heard everything but will stay mum, and also wants to help. Iku's plan is that Kuramaru dates Toda, dress up like a pretty girl and go blonde, as they have more fun. Toda is dusting and wondering just where Kuramaru got to when she appears. As a beautiful blonde named Kuryu, she pretends to be her own cousin and asks him for a tour. Iku and Karen eavesdrop and are overjoyed that their plan worked. Sucks for Iku though, because he has to do the job Karen had for Kuramaru. Toda and Kuryu head over to Shinobu and ask to borrow her jet ski. Shinobu sees them off and they surf to the capital. Kuramaru is pleased to have some alone time with Toda. After all, he has as much riz as his grandpa. In the capital, Kuramaru asks to visit the tower and Toda agrees. Unbeknownst to them, some knife-licking weirdo has been stalking them. Also, the platinum-haired man who had been spying through the drone has just been informed that Toda is at the capital. So he heads there too. Toda brings Kuryu to the tower and Lil Bro is gushing with excitement. Finally, his tower obsession has become a reality, but he still needs to reach the top so that Ghost can stop haunting him. As they chat, Toda shares some of his past and also his love for Kuramaru as his bestie for life. This confuses Kuramaru, who wonders if Toda only wants him as a bro. Toda is so enthusiastic, so Kuryu risks asking if he's attracted to women. He compliments her, leaving her even more confused. Should she be a girl or a guy for Toda? Out of nowhere, the stalker emerges. It's Pervy Chow, back to cause chaos and accompanied by another shadow mage named Azura. Toda gets pulled into the shadow realm while Kuramaru is unable to gather her chi, so she's knocked to the ground. Apparently, being disguised as a girl makes you weak sauce. The baddies reveal they were just supposed to track Toda, but Chow is a doofus, so he decides that kidnapping is more fun. Kuramaru charges the two, attempting to stop them, and they realize that she's immortal too. Azura Sparta kicks her out a window. Damned! Azura follows her down, and Fruit ninjas her quickly. Chow decides to kidnap her into the Shadow Realm too. As she sinks, Kuramaru takes off his disguise and regains his full strength. He sends Chow flying, rescues the unconscious Toda while Azura runs because the cops are coming. Toda comes to ask about Kuryu. Kuramaru lies like his life depends on it. Toda thanks Kuramaru for saving him, saying he's hopeless without him. Kuramaru decides that no matter the gender they choose, they'll always stay with Toda. Back at the resort, a UQ holder, Kiri Sakurami, is performing a ritual repeatedly. When Iku asks her what's it all about, she mysteriously says it starts now. Toda and Kuramaru make their way back and are met by Iku, Kiri, and Karen. Toda recognizes Kiri as the lolly who was playing with sand earlier. Iku informs him that Kiri might look just like a lolly, but she's a powerhouse. Kiri asks Toda for a private chat and immediately starts to reprimand him for his negligence. This girl is spicy and kinda kinky, demanding he sit and bark and other weird orders. Toda's not having it, so he spins her like a roulette wheel and demands to know what's up. She states he has repeatedly failed to protect her. Toda is dumbfounded, and just before she can explain, the Shadow Mage slices her pretty little neck. Toda is about to chase him, but Kiri asks him to hold her hand. He does, and they pop back in time. They return to the tree where Kiri was performing her ritual. Kiri explains she turned back time. Then Iku and Karen show up confused, asking about Kuramaru. Toda is about to reveal that Kiri can turn back time, but she stomps him to silence him. She asks Iku and Karen to take them to the capital. Kiri explains to Toda that her powers are not magic. She explains that it's a special ability she has. The sand mounds are her save points, and she can return to them as long as the fame keeps burning. If she touches someone, she can bring them back too. She's UQ holder number 9, Kiri Sakurami. Few know the nature of her true powers. Kiri says they've been through 7 time loops already, and Toda has failed each time. She quickly tells us all that has occurred in each time loop, and while speaking, Toda spots Sneaky Chow about to attack and sends him flying with a slash from Korobu. Kiri then tells Toda of a kidnapping plot against him made by the greatest mage of all, Fate Avarunkus. We get a flashback of Kiri chatting to Kuramaru, followed by an explosion at the tower. Kuramaru runs to the scene, and we see Fate Avarunkus is basically Thanos and is choking Toda and simultaneously fighting the rest. His fighting technique is off the wall. He enchants Kiri and tells her that he is the legal owner of Toda and he is taking his property. We still own people in 2024? Okay. Fate is Mr. Platinum who's been spying. His enchantment is petrification, and Kiri realizes that if she is petrified, she won't end, so she ends herself in order to reset time again. Gangster movie. Toda is stunned. He needs to know who Fate is. Kiri doesn't know much except that he is an overpowered earth magic user who used to be a hero, but now he hates humans. Can't say I blame him. Next he asks how the heck does that man own him, but Kiri knows nothing. While they scream at each other, Iku and Karen pop up. They've heard everything and know now what Kiri's powers are. Kiri has kept everything a secret to protect her weakness. Toda assures her that none of them would ever hurt her intentionally. Iku, Karen, and the rest assure her of her safety. Now that everybody trusts each other, Kiri explains Yukiheim's plan of capturing Fate. Since they know where and when he'll attack, they just have to get him flustered to overpower him. Toda is the bait and decoy. While Karen and Iku are the defense and diversion, Kuramaru and Kiri will be waiting for an opportunity for Kiri to touch Fate. Just one touch will assure them of victory. She plans on returning with Fate to a cave under their headquarters. She informs them she can choose her respawn site and the cave is the best bet to delay and confuse Fate. The whole crew want to join Kiri on her time-traveling teleportation mission and she accepts. They just need to touch her before she leaves with Fate. And the plan is a go. The team communicates via earbuds and smartphone. Toda asks Kiri why Yukihime isn't helping them as it's her plan. Kiri explains that Fate will feel her energy and their surprise attack will no longer be a surprise. While speaking, a figure in a hoodie suddenly walks right into Toda, bumping him. But Toda ignores it and instead tries to Google Fate. That's when a video of Yukihime pops up explaining who and what Fate is. Girl, you hacked his phone? Apparently Fate Avarunkus saved the world some 80 years ago. Grandpa Negi was there too. They were besties until Toda's grandpa passed away. Then Fate got sick of humans and became a threat. Yukiheim says that Fate wants Toda because of his connection to Negi. She also says that Toda shouldn't believe a word that Fate says. You're kinda sus, Yukiheim. Suddenly Fate appears as if out of thin air. Just when the crew want to electrify his life, Toda spots his boys from the country just behind Fate. They call off the attack, but Fate has already spotted him. Toda bravely awaits his literal fate. But his boys spot him too and come running over. Seeing the distance now between Fate and Toda and his friends, Iku figures he can fire the laser. But at the point of activation, he is fruit ninja'd by a blue-haired babe. The trio chat until both the friends' shoulders are grabbed from behind. Toda is sweating bullets, but Fate butts in and very politely introduces himself as Toda's grandfather's bestie. His boys get excited and rush to introduce themselves, but Fate already knows who they are. He politely greets them by their names, Nakumaru Tanaka and Toru Mihashi. Fate takes the friends as hostages and requests that Toda join them, or else he'll have to eliminate every single person around them to dust. Toda has no choice but to agree. Fate then calmly tells him to inform his crew, and they too should surrender. But then Fate makes the mistake of calling Yukiheim a two-faced sneaky trickster female dog, and Toda loses it. He summons his gravity blade and starts screaming, "Terrorist! Bomb! Someone please call 911. This wild Wyclef Jean-inspired antic is enough of a distraction for Karen to pounce behind Fate and attack. Of course he blocks her easily, but it's enough for the boys to escape. Toda and Karen both charge him, but with a soft, sweet smile, Fate blocks them. His smile enrages Toda, who supercharges his sword to weigh times 500,000. With this, he breaks through Fate's barrier. This distracts the blue-haired assassin, allowing Iku to break free and launch the laser. Somehow, Fate blocks it with another barrier. Then Kuramaru fingers Kiri towards Fate. This is getting intense. She clings tightly to Fate and waits a few seconds for the rest of the crew to join them. Big mistake. Fate immediately petrified her. He teases them, saying this is exactly the type of dumb shite he expects from Yukiheim. In the meantime, Iku repeatedly fires the laser as cover fire for an escape. Stupidly, Tota wants to fight Fate one-on-one to prove that Fate isn't all evil and still has some humanity left. Before Karen can stop the stupidity, Shaba, a mercenary on Fate's crew, attacks her. Six-armed Azura is also Team Fate and fighting against Karamaru. He makes some transphobic jokes and then they get into it. Blue-haired Babe introduces herself as EY to Iku and says let's get this party started. And it's a free-for-all, with fights as far as you can see. Karen knows they are outmatched but have no room to retreat. With all civilians evacuating, Tota uses the opportunity to flash step Fate, who hilariously sends him flying. He then motivates Tota into using his sword by shooting 1,000 swords at him. Tota evades them all, losing his shirt in the process. But Fate teases him saying his grandpa was a better swordsman at 10 years old. This is when Tota realizes that Fate is a powerhouse, a magical martial artist. He decides to fight him head-on, using the power of his sword to switch from heavy to light with each strike. It's a beautiful battle, and he even manages to slash Fate's face. That's when Karen calls him, informing him of numbers counting down on Kiri's arm. He figures that Kiri is still helping them even though she's a stone statue. They have to keep fighting till the timer reaches 0. Tota taunts Fate into hand-to-hand combat and starts getting slapped all over till he slaps him right back to Kiri, who had been working on a petrification cure. The crew all grab a hold of Kiri and snap. We are now in the 10th playthrough.